She is not going to interpret the law in any way, shape, or form. She is going to talk about how they are trained on the law, specifically this peace officer use of force statute. Specifically, there is like an interactive worksheet that she conducts with her recruits regarding this law. And all it does is break down the law, but she's not giving any opinions on what this law means or what this word implies. She's simply providing how she breaks down the law to her recruits.
Now, who supervises her work to make sure that she's doing the bidding of the Chicago Police Department as far as her instructions? Is there somebody that coordinates between the different instructors over there?
I think the law unit, and Judge, because I'm speaking from personal knowledge, I taught there before I became a lawyer, but it's my...
You taught the law before you became a lawyer? Okay.
I was in law school, so. But I don't believe there is a supervisor of that unit. If there is, it might be the other law instructor.
Mr. Weiler, anything else?
Only Judge would point out that it sounds exactly like she's going to interpret this law and give her interpretation, and so we would again argue that that's improper.
And as the defense has been brought out, she had come here objecting to her being videoed and audio pursuant to the extended media coverage, and at that time you certainly were aware of her, and you didn't make any motions in limine at that time. At this time, I will allow her to testify, subject to a motion to strike. All right, so she will be allowed to testify. All right. All right, call the jury out, please. Sit down, please. All right, you've been here, you know, I've been here since 7 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's approached me yet. Sit down, and I'll direct the order of which people are going to testify in this courtroom.
All rise for the jury.
I'm sorry. Yes, we are late. Thank you. Thank you for your concern. All right, get out of the way. Come on, get out of the doorway. The jury's coming through. Nobody yet, but let's not confuse anything. You're responsible for that. This order. Thank you. Will everybody please be seated? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Good morning. All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go through the drill again. Everybody's aware of the questions I'm going to ask. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All right, juror number 251.
No and no.
Juror number 252.
No and no.
Juror number 253.
No and no.
Do we have 253s?
I'm sorry. I'm mistaken.
All right. Juror number 254.
No and no.
Juror number 255.
No and no.
Juror number 256.
No and no.
Juror number 240.
No and no.
Juror number 241. Hello, juror number 241.
No and no.
Thank you. Juror, you guys are tricking me now. Okay, that's good, that's good. All right. Juror number 242.
No and no.
Juror number 243.
No and no.
Juror number 244.
No and no.
Juror number 245.
No and no.
Juror number 246.
No and no.
Juror number 247.
No and no.
Juror number 248.
No and no.
Juror number 249.
No and no.
Juror number 250.
No and no.
Thank you very much. Again, You were outstanding yesterday, and I expect you to be outstanding today and live up to the level of performance that you have been demonstrating during this trial. So thank you again. All right, defense, call your first witness of the day.
We'll call Ms. Velez.
Yeah.
Watch your step, remain standing, face the clerk.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this honorable court and jury shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you.
Have a seat, please. The chair is adjustable. The microphone is live, so pull your chair up to the microphone. Speak into the microphone. Everybody will be able to hear your testimony, and it would be greatly appreciated. So thank you. All right, proceed, defense.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Would you please introduce yourself and spell your last name?
Good morning. I'm Officer Velez. It's V-E-L-E-Z.
And officer, by whom are you employed?
The City of Chicago. I'm with the Police Department.
And how long have you been a Chicago police officer?
Well, I started in January of 2000.
Could I have the attorneys over here for a second, please? Just, Mr. Herbert. Thank you very much, Mr. Herbert. Will you proceed, please?
Sure. I'm not sure where I left off, but you've been a Chicago police officer since, I believe you said, January 2000?
Yes, sir.
And where do you currently work?
I work in the 8th District.
Okay, in the 8th District, generally southwest side of the city of Chicago?
That's correct.
And I want to direct your attention to 2014, October 20th, 2014. Where were you working on that date, time, and location?
I was working Beat 822.
Okay, and so you were in the 8th District, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what shift were you working that day?
It's on the 3rd watch.
And the 3rd watch, what are the hours generally?
Generally, the hours are 15:30 to 00:30 hours.
Okay, and I want to direct your attention, you had the occasion to respond to the scene of the shooting that occurred between Jason Van Dyke and Laquan McDonald.
Yes.
And how is it that, that you were assigned to that job? That's a poor question, if I can withdraw that, Judge. How is it that you responded to that job?
We heard the call over the radio. It sounded like officers were in distress, and we decided to go to the job.
And you were not assigned the job by the dispatcher, correct?
We were not.
Okay. And you said that despite that, because it sounded like officers were in distress, you decided to go to the scene?
Yes, sir.
And is that a normal procedure for these types of calls?
Yes, it is.
Normal for officers that are somewhat close to respond when officers are in distress?
If you're in close proximity, it's great. If you're not, either way, you're still going to go and back another officer up.
Okay.
We went, it's kind of hesitation in the vehicle, but we decided to go.
Okay. And you went there, lights and sirens?
Correct.
Okay. And this was a hot call. You know what I mean by a hot call?
Yes, I do.
How would you describe that?
The hot call can be either a 10-1 or, like I said, officers calling for somebody who has possibly a taser or, something that can help them out with the situation.
Okay. And you nor your partner had tasers that night, is that correct?
That's correct, we did not.
Okay. And is that because they weren't available?
They were not available. For me, I was not certified.
Okay. Tell us what happened when you arrived on the scene.
We arrived on the scene. We were actually on Pulaski. We had been headed north. As we got close to where the call was, we saw an individual that was running towards our direction.
Okay.
So they were going southbound. We were heading north on Pulaski.
I'm sorry. And you said that you saw an individual that was running towards your direction. As you sit here today, do you know who that individual was?
Yes, I do know that now, yes.
And who was that?
That was Laquan McDonald.
Okay. And you didn't know Laquan McDonald that evening?
No, sir.
Okay. And did you make any observations or strike that? When you first saw Laquan McDonald, where were you in relation to him?
When we first saw Laquan McDonald, I was a passenger in the vehicle.
Okay, but how far were you from Laquan McDonald at that point, approximately?
Well, he actually got very close to us. He passed our vehicle. So he was on the side of the driver's side of our
Okay.
vehicle.
Okay. When you first saw Laquan McDonald, is it fair to say that he was in front of your vehicle?
Yes.
And
I'm sorry, establish the geographical location so it's clear for the jury.
Okay. And where were you at when you first saw Laquan McDonald?
I don't know the address.
Would it be in between 40th and 41st Street on Pulaski?
Yes.
Okay. And did you make any observations of Laquan McDonald when you saw him?
Yes. We had our lights. He did not look at us. He did not look towards our direction. He just kept looking straight ahead.
Could you characterize anything about the way he was acting?
He looked deranged.
And when you say he looked deranged, what do you mean by he looked deranged?
The fact that we had lights, we had sirens, he was not looking in our direction. There was nothing that was actually phasing him, not even the visibility of officers in the area, the number of officers that were there. He was just like in a twilight.
Okay. Did you make any observations about any weapons that he may have had?
I had believed he was holding aside that he may have possibly had a weapon. I did notice the shiny object in his hand, which ended up being a knife.
When you saw that shiny object in his hand, did you know it was a knife?
Not at first.
Okay. At some point, did you later conclude that it was a knife?
Yes, I did.
And when was that, after you first saw it? Would it have been when he got closer to you?
I'm
or-
sorry, quit leading right now.
Okay.
When we had passed him up, my partner was actually, he's driving, so he's trying to stay focused and see what's going on, paying attention to his surroundings while I'm trying to say, it looks like he has a gun, just be careful, he's holding his side. It's possible, just the fact that he was not responding to anything or any reaction seeing us. I had believed that he had something on him.
Okay. And when you say holding his side, do you remember which hand he was holding his side with?
It was his left side.
Okay.
He was holding his side,
And
his left hand.
the side, I can't see where you're pointing to. Is that the waistband area?
Officer Gillette, stand up, please.
Sure, it's the hip area, the side area, when you hold up your pants, this is where he was holding his side.
And what about an individual holding their side like that? Why did you believe that that may be indicative of somebody having a gun?
Should I remain standing or?
No, you just Relax, just sit down. That's
Okay.
fine.
Anytime we hear a call of somebody holding their side, it's an indication that they usually carry a weapon.
And what type of weapon do they normally carry when you see somebody holding their side?
I'll allow you wide latitude on cross-examination. Go ahead, overrule.
Do you remember the question?
I can answer?
Sure.
Yes, it could be a 9mm, or it could be a handheld gun. It could be a snub nose, it could be anything. It could be anything that they can put on the side of their either underwear or have a clip or something to hold the gun.
Okay, you mentioned 3 weapons. Those are all guns, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If I can show the clip, it is State 46. It's a clip of the video. If I can just show this to you, publish it to the jury judge, and then I'll ask you a question about it after. Looks like the connection might be loose.
Is it Mike here? Michael, Mr. McCormick, could you help us out a little bit? Mr. McCormick is our chief technical advisor for the chief judge of Cook County. Excuse me, Michael Carroll. I apologize. Thank you, Chief. Yes. Jim, bring the screen out. We don't have it on the big display right now, Mr. Carroll.
Judge, on her laptop, it's not displaying properly. It's not the Nomad system, it's the laptop side.
All right.
Okay, I think we're ready, Judge.
All right.
Yeah.
Proceed then, please.
If we could go back, please. If I can, while we're waiting for the video, Officer Velez, you've seen this video before, isn't that correct? Not the one that's currently displaying, but the video of this shooting?
All right, then, excuse me, then what's the purpose of this video being shown right now?
I'm not sure.
Well then, come on, you're in charge. All right, there'll be a short recess, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, it's okay. Yes, please.
All rise for the jury.
All right, will everybody please be seated? All right. Proceed, Mr. Hurst.
Officer Velez, I'm going to show you this video. Will you please watch it? And I'm going to ask you when your vehicle comes into the picture. Is this your vehicle right here?
Yes, it is.
And that's the vehicle that's being approached by LaQuan McDonald?
Yes.
Okay. Officer Velez, does that video accurately, or strike that?
It's in evidence. Go ahead.
Okay. The video shows that LaQuan McDonald hits, it appears that he's fairly close to the vehicle.
Objection made, Judge.
Sustain and identify which vehicle. There's two in the video
Okay.
at this time.
Do you know how far LaQuan McDonald was from your vehicle at the closest point?
The closest point would perhaps been maybe 3 feet from our vehicle.
In that video, that video doesn't show what you were seeing that night, correct?
Objection, Judge.
Sustain. Ask her what she was seeing, not what it doesn't show.
Okay. The video, was that the same perspective that you had that evening?
It doesn't show his face, doesn't show the look in his eye.
Okay. And is that because it's from a different perspective than where you were at?
Correct.
Okay. And we saw in the video him holding his hip, Mr. McDonald. Is that what you were referring to earlier when you said that you saw Mr. McDonald holding his hip?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I saw your vehicle pulled forward at a point which it appeared LaQuan McDonald was walking by the vehicle. Why is it that you pulled forward, or your partner did?
We pulled forward because my partner didn't feel that he had enough distance.
I'll allow you wide latitude on cross-examination. This is a team working together. You can cross-examine on this. Go ahead, Dawes.
I can answer. Okay. My partner didn't have enough distance should we both exit the vehicle.
Okay. And at the point in which your vehicle pulled away, was it just Jason Van Dyke and Joe Walsh in front of Mr. McDonald at that point?
I do not know because we ended up making our U-turn.
Okay. But you didn't know of any other officers that were out of the vehicle directly in the path of Mr. McDonald other than Walsh and Van Dyke, isn't that correct?
Not at that time, I did not.
I have nothing else, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gleason, cross-examination.
Thank you. Now, ma'am, that night when you heard the call for assistance, you didn't even want to go, did you?
Correct.
You and your partner had an argument because you wanted to go have dinner, right?
Yes.
So when you said on cross that both, or on direct, that both of you made the decision to go, that's not correct, is
We
it?
grudgingly made the decision to go.
Well, do you recall testifying on July 8, 2015 in another proceeding where you were under oath?
Possibly I'd have to see it.
Well, do you recall being asked this question and giving this answer? Question, page 10. Question. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm confused. So the call came out that evening, October 20th of 2014 for assistance, taser, offender with a knife. Did your partner not want to go, or did he want to go? Answer, he wanted to go. Question, and did you want to go? Answer, I did not want to go. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That's not impeaching.
Then what are you objecting for? Overruled.
So, in fact, you and Mr. Herbert asked you about a hot call, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this was such a hot call that you had an argument whether or not you could go have dinner or go to somebody's aid, right?
It's not an argument, it's a discussion. You need both of your partners to agree to go to a call. It was close to the end of our tour.
And so you wanted to go have your dinner and just be done for the night, right?
I wanted to have my dinner, yes, but I knew that this was going to end up being, it sounded very serious.
It sounded so serious, but you want to go have dinner, right?
I didn't have a tool to provide. I did not have a taser, neither did my partner.
Right.
So
there's
that's
really-
correct, yes.
Okay. And so when you got there that night, you didn't expect to see Laquan in the middle of the street, correct?
Correct, caught us off guard.
Right. And so when it caught you off guard, you see him walking in the street, and then you guys do a U-turn, correct?
I don't understand your question.
You and your partner make a U-turn, right? So you can be facing the same direction that Laquan was walking?
Yeah, because I initially wanted to exit the vehicle, and my
And-
partner didn't feel safe.
Your partner didn't feel safe,
He didn't feel safe for me to exit the vehicle without him, yes.
so you made a U-turn, right?
He made a U-turn so that he would have distance between himself and Laquan, yes.
And then you both got out of the vehicle, correct?
Yes,
And when you both got out of the vehicle, you went to the front of your vehicle, correct?
the nose of the vehicle, yes.
You never, at that point, were concerned at all that he had a gun, right?
I did believe he had a gun, and when we were making our U-turn, they were already firing shots.
And you believed he had a gun, but your partner said, no, Letty, it's a knife, isn't that correct?
Possibly, yeah.
And so when you got out of the car and went to the front of your car, you never thought he had a gun, right?
No, I still believed he had a gun. It's possible he wasn't able to pull the gun out when the shots were being fired. So we found out later he did not have a gun, ma'am. But I did believe he had one.
You believed, okay. And so even though you believe he has a gun, you go to the very front of your car without any kind of barrier between you and Laquan McDonald, correct?
The shots were already being fired. He was already on the ground.
He
So
was already on the ground? Did you see him standing up as he was being shot?
I saw him as he made the turn.
So when you say he made the turn, you mean when Laquan
The
is spinning?
twist, yes.
Right. So at that point, your car is already turned around, right?
Yes.
And so you and your partner are facing him, correct?
When he was already dropping to the ground.
Right.
Okay.
So he's standing up, you can see him being shot, right?
Yes.
And are you out of your car at that point?
It's possible we were.
Okay.
I was the passenger. I'm able to make a 360 turn around and try to see what's going on.
Okay. And which side of Officer Mondragon's car did you park on?
That I don't remember.
Okay. So that video was being taken from Officer Mondragon's car, correct?
Yes.
And they're right next to you?
She could have been in front of us,
Okay.
next to us.
And is she on, you don't remember which side you pulled on
From her,
from her, right?
we were probably on the driver's side.
Okay. So when you say the driver's side, is your door closest to her driver's side door?
That I do not know. I can't answer that. That I don't know.
As I told Mr. Herbert, go to
Yeah.
geographical
Right. So
descriptions.
are you in, well, strike that. So when you do your U-turn and you get out of your car and Laquan is spinning, you're there, is that correct?
Yeah, he drops to the ground.
And Officer Becerra is there, correct?
Yeah.
Officer Mondragon is there, correct?
At the moment, I don't know who was there because my focus was on Laquan, ma'am.
Okay, but you know now, right? They were right next to you?
Yeah, I know now that those officers were present.
So Officer Mondragon was right next to you?
You'd have to ask her.
Did you see her there?
I saw Mondragon there, yes.
Did you see Daphne Sebastian there?
I don't remember seeing Daphne.
Well, that's Mondragon's partner, right?
Okay, yes.
And they
So
were,
then that means yes, she was there, if her
And-
partner was there.
did you see Dora Fontaine?
I did not.
You never saw her that night.
No.
Did you see the squad that's right behind Van Dyke's vehicle?
Yes, I know that now that was her vehicle.
Okay, so they were right there at the same time you were there, right?
I don't know. If my focus is on Laquan, do you think I'm timing it and saying, hey, she's here? I do not know, ma'am.
Okay. And so when you get out of your vehicle and go to the front of your vehicle, do you pull your gun out?
Probably had my gun unsnapped because initially if I believed he had a gun, I'm gonna take my gun out or have it unholstered, have it unsnapped. So it was unsnapped. I had my holster snapped back again when I realized he was already on the ground.
Okay, so you never took your gun out?
Like I said, I don't know if I did or not. If I believed he initially had a gun, we usually can take it out and then we can holster it back.
So you don't know,
So if I was in the vehicle, I probably did.
but you don't know as you sit here today?
I do not.
Okay.
You're asking me something that transpired 4 years ago, ma'am.
So your memory's fuzzy about what happened 4 years ago?
About me taking out my gun, about me maybe wiping my nose, yes.
Okay, didn't
That's
ask you
correct.
about wiping your nose, I asked you about your gun.
So yes, about
fuzzy.
that, yes. You're asking me, did I take it out? Was I standing there with it? I don't know. It's muscle memory. If there's somebody with the gun, you're gonna take out your gun.
But he never
Now
had a
you're
gun.
gonna put it back.
He never had a gun, right? He only had a knife.
We realized later, he did not. That's correct.
When was it that you realized he only had a knife?
After everything was done.
What do you mean, everything was done?
This
What-
whole investigation.
Oh, and so not until after the entire investigation, right?
When he was down on the ground, I asked, did he have a gun? Did he have a gun? They said, no, he didn't have one.
Who
Okay,
told-
so at the scene, it was confirmed that he did not have a gun.
And
Okay?
who'd you ask if he had a gun?
I do not recall that.
Okay, what's the first thing you do after the shooting stops?
What's the first thing I do after a shooting stops?
Not a shooting, this shooting. Is that what there was?
This specific shooting, tried getting on the phone, get on the radio, we asked for an ambulance, we asked for supervisors,
Okay, let's try. You tried to get on the phone. Who did you try to call?
tried calling FOP,
Who's FOP?
the Fraternal Order of Police.
And what's the Fraternal Order of Police do?
That's our union. We have an officer that was involved in a shooting. Julie tried to get the FOP there.
Okay, so before you tried, did you ever try to call for an ambulance that night?
I don't know if I did. If I heard people calling, I'm not gonna be redundant and do it myself.
So the first thought in your mind was to call the union, right?
My first call, or first thing you're thinking of, you're looking around. You're like, okay, did they call an ambulance? Okay, do we have tape? Okay, is the scene secure? There's a lot of stuff you're doing. If you see other officers handling it, then you're gonna move on to the next thing that needs to be done to safeguard the crime scene.
And so
Or call for the ambulance, call for FOP, call for a supervisor.
But that's not what you did. The first thing you did.
I don't know what I did.
You don't?
Like I said, looking around, you're seeing what's happening, okay? We had to move the vehicle out of the way. There's traffic. My
Ma'am,
partner
can you
moved
wait
the
till I
vehicle.
ask a question, please?
Sure.
Thank you. And do you remember, again, testifying on July 8, 2015, and you were asked this question and given this answer, page 27? After the shots were fired, you saw Officer Walsh kick the knife. Answer, yes. Question, and what did you do then? Answer, I holstered my weapon. I tried calling FOP.
Okay, there's
To
the
let
answer.
them know, call the district to let them know there's been a shooting.
I'm going to check again, Judge, this isn't impeaching at all.
But she said she didn't recall whether a weapon was in or out. So there's certainly, that is the foundation to perfect the impeachment. Overruled.
And did you see Officer Walsh do anything else that night?
After the shooting or during the shooting? What-
Right after he kicks the knife, do you see him do anything?
I don't remember.
Let me ask you another question first. When you thought he might have a knife, did you ever get on the radio, or strike that? When you thought he might have a gun, did you ever get on the radio and say, hey, he might have a gun?
No, I did
Why
not.
not?
I was in shock.
And so you didn't think you needed to let Officer Van Dyke or any of the other officers know he might have a gun?
At what time would I be able to tell him that?
How about you have a radio as you're sitting in the car making the U-turn? Could you made a call?
No, I did
Why
not.
not?
Because everything happened so fast. That's why.
How about when you got out of the
You-
car? Could you have alerted your other officers that maybe that guy had a gun?
No, I didn't.
And why not?
Because it happened so fast.
And so it happened so fast, you can't even get on your radio to say, hey, be careful, right?
Correct. It happened so fast.
And when you got out of the car, you saw the defendant continue to shoot after Laquan fell on the ground, didn't you?
Yes, probably. Yeah.
Well, not probably. Did you or did you not see Officer Van Dyke continue to shoot after Laquan
Yes.
McDonald hit the ground?
I believe I did, yes.
And then you saw Officer Walsh go up and kick the knife out of his hand, right?
Yes.
And as you recall today, though, you don't recall if you ever, strike that, if you ever said anything else about Officer Walsh?
I initially thought when the shooting had happened that it was Walsh that was doing the shooting. I did not know Van Dyke.
No, I'm not asking that. After Officer Walsh kicked the knife out of Van Dyke's, or out of Laquan
All right,
McDonald's...
start all over again.
I'm sorry, Judge. After you saw Walsh kick the knife out of Laquan's hand, did you see him do anything else?
I don't remember.
Just a minute. And again, do you remember testifying under oath on July 8, 2015, page 47, being asked these questions and giving these answers? Question, it didn't appear that he was concerned about any other weapon. Answer, you brought that up now, and I do recall him patting him, searching him to see if he had any other weapons on him. Question, how long after the shooting did that occur? Answer, immediately after he kicked it, there was no movement, no response, nothing. I guess he felt safe to search him, searched his waistband, searched his pockets, searched, the ankles to see if there's any weapons or anything on him. Do you remember giving those answers?
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
And so, did you see Officer Walsh do any kind of search?
Okay, so he did the search, and it was confirmed then that he did not have a weapon.
Okay, so you watched that video before today, right?
Oh, yes.
Where do you ever see Officer Walsh do a search in that video?
I didn't see that on the video. I haven't seen that on the video.
Okay, so that's something you saw outside the video immediately after he kicks the knife. Officer Walsh is doing a search.
You know what?
I can object to immediately. That's not what her testimony was.
Overruled if that's your objection.
You can answer the question.
I'd have to watch the entirety of the video, but if I said that he searched them, then he searched them.
Okay. And I believe, just so we have this clear, your prior testimony was immediately after he kicked it, there was no movement, no response, nothing. I guess he felt safe to search him, search his waistband, search his pockets, search, the ankles to see if there's any weapons or anything on him. So that was immediately after he kicked that knife, right?
It was after he kicked the knife.
And you don't see any of that on the video, do you?
Okay?
No, my question is not an okay answer, a yes or no.
I'm saying he searched him, okay?
searching him right after he kicks the knife away? Did you see Officer Walsh getting covered with blood or anything?
No, I didn't.
And you see anybody else searching besides Officer Walsh?
No, I don't. I don't remember. If there were other officers around there.
And so let's talk about that. Right before LaFawn hits the ground, you're there, correct?
Yeah,
Officer Becerra is there, correct?
yes.
Officer Walsh is there, correct?
We're not standing with them. We weren't even by them. So, yeah, they were present.
Officer Mondragon was there.
Yes,
Daphne Sebastian was there. She's an officer, correct?
yes,
Dora Fontaine was there.
okay.
Is that a yes or no?
You're telling me who's there? Those are people that were at the scene? Do I remember seeing them? No, I do not.
Well, you watch the video and they pull up right behind Walsh and Van Dyke, right?
The people that are in the video is Walsh and Van Dyke, and the car that pulls up behind them, that's Dora and her partner.
And that's Rick Viramontes, right?
Vera Montes, yeah.
So that's 10 officers, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then you see the other two, Daphne and her partner, that's 8.
What about Walsh and Van Dyke? Did you count them?
I did count them,
Walsh and Van Dyke, you and your partner, right?
right?
Mondragon and Daphne,
6,
or, right?
yes,
Viramontes and Dora, right?
okay, that's
And
8.
what about Nick Elliott and Gaffney?
They showed up, they were there after us. I don't remember seeing them, that's the thing. We made our U-turn, our focus was more on McQuan.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Briefly,
Sure, take as much time as you need.
Officer, you were asked questions about all these other officers that were on the scene. Remember those questions that were just asked by the prosecutor?
Yes,
And you would agree with me that right before the shooting, Viramontes, that they had not pulled up yet, correct?
correct,
And all those other officers were behind LaQuan McDonald, correct?
yes,
They were behind the threat, correct?
yes,
Objection, Judge.
I'll allow you wide latitude on recross-examination.
They were behind the guy that flicked his knife open and was holding his hip in a manner that you thought he had a gun, correct?
yes,
Objection, Judge, again.
Overruled.
And that person, LaQuan McDonald, was walking in the opposite direction from where you and all those other police officers were, correct?
yes,
And that person, LaQuan McDonald, with the knife and what you believe was a gun, was walking in the direction of Jason Van Dyke and Joe Walsh at that point, correct?
yes,
And he was in fact closing the distance on those two individuals, correct?
I couldn't say if he was closing the distance because we ended up making our U-turn.
Okay. And at that point, right before the shooting, all those other officers were behind LaQuan McDonald, correct?
Yes,
And that other vehicle, Viramontes, they hadn't pulled up yet, correct?
correct,
And Van Dyke and Walsh were out of their vehicle at that point, correct?
yes,
So clearly they were exposed to this deranged person with the knife that you testified to.
yes,
Again, I'll allow you wide latitude on recross-examination. Overruled. The answer will stand.
Fair to say that they were kind of the last line of defense at that point, weren't they?
Overruled. I mean, sustained.
Okay. On direct, you were asked about some details that you weren't necessarily sure of. Did you have your gun out? At what point did you pull your gun out? And then Ms. Gleason showed you some transcript testimony that showed that you did have your gun out at that point, right?
yes,
And you had your gun out because you were dealing with this armed, dangerous criminal, correct?
Objection, Judge.
Sustained as to the characterization. All right,
Okay.
rephrase.
You had your gun out because you thought you might have to use it, right?
that's correct,
And you thought you might have to use it on LaQuan McDonald, correct?
yes,
And you thought you had to shoot him because he was a threat, correct?
Objection, Judge.
I'll allow you wide latitude on recross-examination. The answer, go ahead, you can answer.
yes,
Okay. And Prior to arriving to the scene, did you hear the radio traffic that this individual that we now know as Juan McDonald had broken into a truck yard?
I'm sorry, no. Get over here. I want the attorneys over here right now.
I can withdraw
need you
it.
to. All right, don't do that again. It's
Right.
not in evidence.
Okay. I'll withdraw that question. Prior to you arriving on the scene, did you hear over the radio that Laquan McDonald had attacked a squad car and popped the tire?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So from the time that you started to arrive, and then the more information that you gained, would you say that your threat level was rising up until the point that you got out of the vehicle?
Objection, Judge.
That is not an issue in this case. Sustained.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Recross.
Thank you. Ma'am, at the time that Officer Van Dyke shot Laquan McDonald, he was surrounded by police officers, correct?
There was a large perimeter around where Laquan was.
And that large perimeter included all of those officers you already identified on the cross, correct?
Yes.
You pulled your gun out that night?
Yes, I did.
You never shot once, did you?
I did not.
Nothing, Judge.
All right, you can step down, officer.
All right.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to take a short recess at this time, and then we'll be right back in about 10 minutes. No more than 10 minutes.
All right, for the jury?
All right, will everybody please be seated? Thank you. All right, will our interpreter state her name, please?
Good morning, Judge Terry Mesa, M-E-Z-A, Certified Court Interpreter.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to interpret from Spanish to English and English to Spanish to the best of your ability?
I do.
Thank you very much. All right, call your witness.
Rudy Brulis, please.
Cuidado su límite, mantenga separado y alza la mano derecha.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this honorable court and jury shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a seat, sir. The microphone is live, the seat is adjustable, so pull your seat up to the microphone, speak into the microphone so everybody can hear your testimony, and it will be greatly appreciated, so thank you. Proceed.
Could you please tell the jury your name and spell your last name for the court reporter?
Por favor, puede decirle al jurado su nombre y deletrear su apellido para que esté en el cuerpo de la
Rudy, R-U-D-I,
Rudy, R-U-D-Y,
Varillas,
Varilas,
P-A-R-I-L-L-A-S.
B-A-R-I-L-L-A-S.
And Mr. Barillas, without telling us your address, you live in Chicago?
Señor Varilas, sin darnos su domicilio, ¿vive usted en Chicago?
Sí,
Yes.
And you have a business in Chicago?
¿Tiene usted un negocio en Chicago?
sí.
Yes.
What is your business?
¿Cuál es su negocio?
Transportación,
Transportation.
You're a truck driver, right?
sí.
Es camionero. Yes.
And calling your attention back to 2014, were you a truck driver then?
Y llamándole la atención al 2014, ¿era camionero entonces?
Sí,
Yes.
And are you familiar with the location of 4100 or 41st and Kildare in Chicago?
¿Conoce usted el local de la 41 en la Kildare?
sí.
Yes.
And how are you familiar with that address?
¿Y cómo es que conoce usted ese domicilio?
Parqueábamos trocas ahí.
Because we would park trucks there.
All right. And when you say we would park trucks there, you would park your truck there, is that right?
Y cuando dice estacionados trocas ahí, usted está estacionado ese local.
Sí,
Yes.
And how big is that location?
¿Y qué tan grande está ese local?
como un bloque y medio más o menos.
About a block and a half, more or less.
And that's where other people park their trucks as well, correct?
Y en cuanto otras personas también estacionan sus camiones allí, ¿correcto?
Sí,
Yes.
And that lot, is that lot fenced in?
¿Y ese lote está cercado?
sí.
Yes.
Was there a gate that you had to use to get your truck into the lot?
Había una reja la cual tenía que usar usted para que entrara su camión.
Sí,
Yes.
And was that gate always locked?
Y esa reja siempre estaba con llave.
sí.
Yes.
And how would you get your truck into that locked lot?
¿Y cómo es que hacía usted entrar su camión a esta cerca con llave?
Teníamos un control remoto para entrar y
We have
salir.
a remote control to get in.
All right. So you would have to use your remote control to open the gate, is that correct?
Así es que usted tenía que usar su remote control para poder entrar.
Sí,
Yes.
All right, I want to call your attention to October 20th, 2014.
Le quiero llamar la atención al 20 de octubre de 2014.
Were you parking your truck at that lot in October of 2014?
¿Estaba usted estacionado en su camión en este lote el 20 de octubre del 2014?
sí,
Yes.
All right, calling your attention specifically to October 20th at about 9:30, 9:45 in the evening. Did you bring your truck to that lot?
Llamando la atención al 20 de octubre como a las 9:30, 9:45 de la noche, ¿trajo usted su camión a ese lote?
sí.
Yes.
And did you use that control device to get into the lot?
¿Y usó usted ese control para poder entrar al lote?
Sí,
Yes.
So the gate was locked when you got there, correct?
Así es que la reja estaba con llave cuando llegó usted allí.
sí.
Yes.
All right, you used your opener to get in the gate, correct?
Y usó usted el control para poder entrar a la reja.
Sí.
Yes.
Were you able to pull your truck into the lot?
¿Pudo hacer entrar su camión al lote?
Sí.
Yes.
Was anyone with you?
¿Alguien estaba con usted?
Mi esposa.
My wife.
And when you pulled your truck in the lot, did you see anything unusual?
Y cuando hizo entrar usted su camión al lote, ¿vio usted algo raro?
Sí.
Yes.
What did you see?
¿Qué fue lo que vio?
A otra persona dentro de una troca.
Another person inside a truck.
All right. And can you strike that? So you saw a person inside the truck, correct?
¿Vio usted una persona dentro de una troca, correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
What did you do when you saw that person inside the truck?
¿Qué fue lo que hizo usted cuando vio usted a una persona dentro de esa troca?
Me salí de mi camión y le dije que qué estaba haciendo, y que se saliera por favor y no quiso él, bueno, no me entendía o
I got out of my truck and I asked that person to please leave, and he didn't, and either he didn't understand me or he didn't.
When you say you asked him to leave, did you do that in English?
Cuando le pidió que saliera, ¿lo hizo usted en inglés?
sí.
Yes.
And can you describe the person you said that to?
¿Y puede describir usted la persona a quien usted le dijo eso?
Sí.
Yes.
How would you describe that person?
¿Cómo lo describiría usted?
Era de color pues, moreno,
He was a colored, black person.
medía como unos 5 pies y medio
He was about 5.5 feet.
y vestía de suera negra
He was dressed with a black sweater
y con un pantalón de mezclilla.
and like a blue jean pants.
Okay. So you were asking him to leave, is that right?
Usted estaba pidiendo que se fuera.
Sí.
Yes.
And how many times did you ask him that, or tell him that?
¿Y cuántas veces se lo pidió o se lo dijo?
Como 3 veces.
About 3 times.
And after 3 times, what did you do?
Y después de 3 veces, ¿qué fue lo que hizo usted?
Yo le dije que él iba a llamar a la policía si no se iba.
I told him I was going to call the police if we didn't leave.
And did you call the police?
¿Y llamó usted a la policía?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. Showing you it's been, we're going to play what's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 10 for identification. It's already in evidence, I'm sorry.
It's not in evidence, it depends on his testimony.
Okay. So we're going to play it.
¿Dónde está la...?
Do you want me to touch it? Do you want me to touch the screen?
Is it not on?
Present your evidence. Wasn't that from there?
Because we're playing what we marked as defendant's number 10.
Judge, we're having an issue with the sound on this.
Mr. Michael Carroll, could you help them out?
I know, but I hear that.
Ms. Fleming, step away, let him look at the computer.
Judge, can we have about 5 minutes, please?
Certainly you can, but why didn't you do this before? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
All right, for the jury?
Judge Baruch.
Mr. Herbert, come here for a second, please. Mr. McMahon? Bring our wonderful people out first. Thank you, Rick.
All right, for the jury?
Will everybody please be seated? Thank you.
Judge, I'd ask to play
Excuse
defense.
me. I didn't say we're missing a juror. Pay attention. Mr. Ruger, at this time, will you please proceed?
Yes, Judge, we'd like to play defense number 11, please.
I'm here at halfway here on 41 on Tudor. I have a question up for the trucks. I have a guy right here that is talking the radios. You will set the police. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Barillas, is that you on that tape talking to the police department?
Sí.
Yes.
And is that you saying, okay, thank you?
Sí.
Yes.
All right. Judge, I'd ask that this be admitted into evidence.
And any objections?
Your Honor, this particular portion of people's exhibit, we have no objection to. Makes it the defendant's exhibit 10.
I think it's 11.
Oh.
It's 10.
All right, let's get this straight. Is
It's
this
10, Judge.
defense number 10?
Yes.
Thank you. There's no objection to this. It will be admitted into evidence.
Thank you, Judge. Now, when you were making this phone call, where was the male black that you talked about being in the trucks?
Cuando estamos haciendo ustedes esta llamada, ¿de dónde estaba el mayor negro de cuál estaba ustedes?
Dentro de la troca.
Inside the truck.
All right. Did he eventually come out of the truck?
Eventualmente salió él del camión.
Cuando yo le dije que se fuera, se bajó del camión.
When I told him to leave, he came out of the truck.
Okay. And when he came out of the truck, did he approach you?
Y cuando salió del camión se acercó él a usted.
Sí.
Yes.
And you had your phone at that time, is that correct?
¿Y usted tenía su teléfono en ese punto, correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
That's the phone you made this phone call on, right?
Y ese es el teléfono del cual hizo usted esta llamada, correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Right. And how did he continue to approach you?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to leading the question.
Sustained. This is way past preliminary at this time.
Did he continue to approach you?
Objection. Please question.
I'll allow this one question and stop leading, all right? This is at a critical juncture. You shouldn't be testifying.
I'm not, I'm asking if he continued.
Listen to me, all right? Or I'll sustain all of their objections concerning leading questions at this time, all right? You'll allow to ask this one and no more leading after that because it's not preliminary anymore. Go ahead.
Did he continue to advance toward you?
Él siguió acercándose a usted.
Sí.
Yes.
And how close did he get to you?
¿Y qué tan cerca llegó a usted?
Unos 3 pies de distancia.
About a distance of 3 feet.
And what happened when he got to 3 feet from you?
¿Y qué ocurrió cuando llegó a 3 pies de distancia?
Me sacó un cuchillo y quería lastimarme.
He pulled out a knife and he wanted to hurt me.
And what did he do with the knife?
¿Y qué fue lo que hizo con el cuchillo?
Se me acercó y me quiso ver cuidado.
He came towards me and he tried to stab me.
Can you stand up and show the jury what he tried to do?
¿Puede ponerse de pie y mostrar al jurado lo que quiso hacer?
Un cuchillo aquí.
With the knife he
se me
went
fue
like
encima.
this and then he did this.
All right. And what did you do after when he tried to stab you?
¿Y qué fue lo que hizo usted cuando él intentó apuñalarme?
Le tiré mi teléfono encima.
I threw my phone at him.
And did he do anything after you threw your phone at him?
¿Y él hizo alguna cosa después de que usted le tiró su teléfono?
Se me volvió a ir encima atrás.
He came back at me.
When you say he came back at you, did he have something in his hand when he came back at you?
Cuando dice que se le tiró de nuevo, ¿usted traía algo en las manos cuando lo hizo?
Cuchillo.
A knife. A knife.
And how far was he the second time he tried to come at you with a knife?
¿Y a qué distancia estaba el de usted cuando quiso aventársele de nuevo con el cuchillo?
Unos 3 o 4 pies de distancia.
3 or 4 feet distance.
What did you do, if anything, after he tried to stab you the second time with a knife?
¿Y qué si acaso algo hizo usted la segunda vez que intentó apuñalarle?
Agarré un poco de tierra, de grava y se lo tiré en la cara.
I got a little bit of dirt, some gravel, and threw it at his face.
Now, where was your wife at this time?
¿Dónde se encontraba su esposa en este punto?
Se bajó del camión, estaba dentro del camión y luego se bajó a ayudarme.
She got out of the truck. Well, she was still in the truck, and then she got out of the truck to try to help me.
And was the veil black still there when she tried to call the police?
¿Y el hombre negro todavía estaba ahí cuando ella intentó llamar a la policía?
Sí.
Yes.
Did you see the police coming to that location?
¿Y usted vio cuando venía la policía a ese local?
Sí.
Yes.
And when the police came to that location, what did the male black do?
Y cuando la policía llegó a ese local, ¿qué fue lo que hizo el hombre negro?
Como en la segunda o tercera vez que yo le llamé, él oyó que yo estaba llamando a la policía y salió corriendo como a los...
About the second or third time I called, he heard I was calling the police, and then he fled.
When you say,
Cuando como en unos 5 o 7 segundos después llegó la policía, cuando se salió de la yarda.
5 or 6 seconds later, when the police arrived, he had left the yard.
all right. When you say he left the yard, how did he leave the yard?
Cuando dice que se salió de la yarda, ¿cómo es que salió él de la yarda?
Caminando, corriendo.
Walking, running.
All right. And which street did he run onto?
¿Y sobre qué calle corrió él?
41.
41st.
All right. And then the police came, is that right?
Y entonces llegó la policía.
Sí,
Yes.
Did you talk to the police?
¿Habló usted con la policía?
sí,
Yes.
Did you tell the police what had happened?
¿Le dijo usted a la policía lo que había ocurrido?
sí.
Yes.
And did you point to police in the direction that the male black had gone?
¿Y señaló usted a la policía la dirección hacia donde había corrido el hombre negro?
Sí.
Yes.
Wait until they see the exhibits. Certainly, go ahead then.
Mr. Brillis, I'm going to show you what's been marked as defendants number 11 and 12 for identification. And defendants 11, is that a picture of the fence that was around the truck lot?
El 11 es una fotografía de la cerca que estaba alrededor de donde estaban los camiones. Yes.
And number 12, is that also a picture of the fence that goes around the truck lot?
Y la 12 también es una fotografía de la cerca que da, que es allá donde están los camiones.
Sí.
Yes.
Judge, I'll ask that those be admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
All right, the identification marks will be stricken. Defense number 11 and 12 will be moved there.
May I publish those to the jury, Judge?
Sure. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'm sorry, what are you doing?
¿Qué está haciendo?
Are you handing it? No, you don't hand things to the jury. If I'm, you know, when you said, can you show it to the jury, I thought you were going to publish it. Ma'am, give him do you have this thing back? Thank you very much. Don't ever hand anything to the jury directly.
That's number 12. That's number 11. Mr. Brillis, when the male black approached you, was he saying anything to you?
Se le acercó. ¿Le decía algo a usted?
No podía hablar, se le trababa la lengua.
He couldn't talk. He was like tongue-tied.
Was he making any noise at all?
¿Hacía ruidos?
Sí,
Yes.
What kind of noise was he making?
¿Qué ruidos estaba haciendo?
una culebra así.
Like serpents, like
A growling?
Objection.
Mr. Ruckert, if you want to testify, we can swear you in, all right? But don't be putting words in the witness's mouth. Sustain.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brillis. I have nothing
Gracias,
further.
señor Ramírez. Yo no tengo más preguntas.
Cross-examination, Mr. Cohn.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the noise he was making was like a cat noise?
Como que quería hablar, pero no podía hablar.
It says if he wanted to talk, but he couldn't talk.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Barillas, do you have any police training?
Señor Vargas, ¿tiene usted entrenamiento como policía? No.
Do you have any military training?
¿Tiene entrenamiento militar? No.
Now, you testified that this truck yard is a very large truck yard, is that correct?
Dice usted que esta yarda de camiones es una yarda muy grande, ¿correcto?
Sí,
Yes.
So it's about a block and a half long, is that right?
Es como una cuadra y media de largo.
sí,
Yes.
And on the other side, there's another, it's about a block on the other side as well, is correct?
Y es como una cuadra del otro lado también, ¿correcto?
sí.
Yes.
Now, the defense attorney showed you two pictures of the part of the fence around the truck yard, is that right?
El abogado de la defensa le mostró una fotografía de parte de la cerca de la yarda, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
You ready to approach the witness?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Have you shown those to the defense?
The defense exhibits,
Oh, 11 and 12? I mean, okay, sure, go ahead.
So, these two photos, that's just a very small part of the fence around the truck yard, is that correct?
Estas dos fotografías solamente son una parte muy pequeña de lo que es la cerca de la yarda. ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Now, you didn't inspect the entire length and width of the fence around that truck yard that night, did you?
Ahora, ¿usted no inspeccionó lo largo y lo ancho de todo esa yarda esa noche?
No.
No.
Now, thank you. When you called the police, you said the guy has stolen the radios. Is that what you told the police?
Cuando usted llamó a la policía, usted les dijo, el tipo ha robado los radios, ¿correcto? ¿Eso es lo que usted les dijo a la policía?
Está robando radios.
He's stealing radios.
He's stealing. And that was an assumption on your part, correct?
Y eso fue una asunción de su parte.
Sí.
Yes.
Because you didn't actually see him stealing a radio,
Porque
did
de
you?
hecho, usted no lo vio robando los radios.
Estaba dentro de la troca.
He was inside the truck.
And when he got out of the truck, he didn't have a radio in his hands, did he?
Y cuando salió de la troca, él no traía un radio en las manos.
No.
¿Acaso sí? No.
Now, you said he waved the knife at you, is that correct?
Usted dice que él le mostró, le movió el cuchillo frente de usted, ¿correcto?
Se me aventó encima de mí como cuchillo.
He came at me with the knife.
And he got within 3 or 4 feet of you, is that right?
Y él llegó como a 3 pies o 4 pies de distancia de usted, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Now, you didn't have a radio with you, did you?
Usted no traía radio con usted, ¿acaso sí?
No.
No.
You didn't have a gun with you, did you?
Usted no traía una pistola con usted.
No.
No.
You didn't have a police SUV squad with you, did you?
Usted no traía camión SUV de patrulla con usted.
No.
No.
You didn't have a police partner with
All
you,
right,
did
come
you?
on, move on.
When he got within 3 to 4 feet of you, he did not touch the knife to you, did he?
Cuando él llegó a 3 a 4 pies de distancia de usted, él no tocó a usted con la navaja.
Yo me hice para atrás cuando se vino encima de mí. Me hice
I
para
moved
atrás.
back when he lunged at me.
Okay, so you were able to lunge away. He never scratched you with the knife, did he?
Se pudo hacer hacia atrás, nunca lo rasguñó o rasgó con el cuchillo.
No.
No.
You threw a cell phone at him, is that right?
Usted le tiró un celular, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
And then you said that you threw some gravel at him, is that correct?
Y entonces dice usted que le tiró grava, piedra, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Now you had to reach down to the ground to pick up the gravel, didn't you?
Ahora usted tuvo que inclinarse al suelo para poder agarrar la grava, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
And when you were down reaching for the gravel, he never lunged forward and plunged that knife into you, did he?
Y cuando estaba usted inclinado agarrando la grava, él nunca se le tiró encima.
No, porque estaba retirado.
No, because he was a distance.
A distance of about 3 feet away, is that right?
Una distancia como de 3 pies de lejos.
Sí.
Yes.
And your wife got out of the truck, is that right?
Y su esposa se salió del camión, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
And he never stabbed your wife, did he?
Y no apuñaló a su esposa.
No.
No.
So you were able to fend off this young man with a cell phone and a handful of rocks, is that right?
Así es que usted pudo hacerse que se le quitara de encima a este tipo con un celular y un puño de piedras, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
No further questions.
No tenemos que-
Redirect.
So you were lucky, right?
Así que corrió usted con suerte.
Objection.
I'll allow the
Yes.
answer. Anything else?
No.
Thank you.
¿Alguna cosa más? No.
Any redraws?
Oh, yes, sir.
Sí.
So you were lucky that you were facing a man who didn't really want to stab you, weren't you?
Así usted corrió con suerte en que le estaba dando usted la cara a un hombre que realmente no quería apuñalarlo.
No sé, porque no tenía él, no sé qué intenciones tenía.
I don't know what intentions he might have had.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias.
You can step down.
Se puede retirar.
All right, call your next witness.
Sergeant William Shield. Sergeant who? William Shield.
William Shield, Sergeant. What is that? Remain standing, please support.
Please, you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this honorable court and jury shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sergeant, have a seat. The seat is adjustable, as you can see. Pull your chair up to the microphone. The microphone is live. If you speak into the microphone, just a little bit closer, Sergeant. All right? Then everybody will be able to hear your testimony and it would be greatly appreciated. So thanks. Proceed, Ms. Wayne.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and spell your name.
My name is William, last name is Shield, S-C-H-I-E-L-D.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a sergeant of police for the Chicago Police Department.
How long have you been with the police department?
It's going on 27 years,
How long have you been a sergeant?
22 years.
What have been your areas of assignment in these 27 years?
Throughout my 27 years, I started out in the 21st District Patrol District, the 12th Patrol District, the 9th Patrol District. I was assigned to the Public Housing Section, the Targeted Response Unit, Area South Saturation, and my current assignment is with the Special Functions Division, Detail Section, Homeland Security Team.
Do you know Jason Van Dyke?
I do.
How do you know him?
Officer Van Dyke worked with me in the Targeted Response Unit and also at the Area South Saturation Team.
Are you friends?
I'm sorry?
Are you friends with him?
No, we're co-workers.
I'm going to direct your attention to December 4th of 2012. Were you a sergeant at that time?
I was.
In approximately December 4th through December 8th of 2012, did you receive an officer safety alert?
We did, yes.
And on these particular dates, were you working with Jason Van Dyke?
Yes, I believe I was working with Officer Van Dyke on at least 2 of those dates.
How do you know that?
I checked the A&A sheets to make sure that we were both on the A&A sheets as being working.
Okay. Did you work the same shift?
We all worked the same shift at that time.
So did everyone on the same shift go to the same roll call?
Yes, we did.
I'm going to show you what marked as defense number 13 for identification. I'm going to ask you to look at this, please. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
This is an officer safety alert that was sent out by the Deployment Operations Center.
Does that accurately depict the officer safety alert that you looked at in December of 2012?
Yes, it's not the original, but it is a duplicate of it, yes.
Judge, at this time I'd ask to enter this into evidence. Publish.
Could I have the attorneys over here for a second? Thank you very much. Let us know when you're ready. First of all, you have to get there. Are you ready? All right, proceed, please.
Thank you, Judge. Can you tell the jury what is, excuse me, depicted in this officer safety alert that I showed you?
In this officer safety alert is depicted a knife that contains a .22 caliber revolver in the handle of the knife.
How do you know it's a 22?
It's delineated in the officer safety alert itself.
Okay. And how many bullets does this hold?
It appears from the picture that would hold between 5 and 6 rounds.
And how does this gun knife work?
I'm not sure how it...
Foundation, Judge?
Sustain, lay the foundation.
Okay. Do you know? Have you ever learned about a well, it's called a revolver knife?
Through the officer safety alert, yes.
Okay. And do you know how that functions?
I do not.
Okay. When you received this officer safety alert, what did you do with the information?
Once we receive an officer safety alert, including this one, we would make it a subject of roll call training, so all of the officers with in the unit would know about it.
And do you read the entire alert out at roll call?
Yes, typically what we do is we'll read the actual alert verbatim and then discuss it afterwards.
Do you remember discussing this alert?
Yeah, I discuss all the safety alerts, as many as I can get my hands on with all the officers, yes.
And did you do anything else with this document?
We would discuss it and then it would be posted up around the office on the different bulletin boards so the officers could see it and have it in their minds fresh when they go out on the street.
Did they get a copy of it?
Yes, all the officers would receive copies of the alerts.
And how many roll calls did you discuss this particular bulletin?
Typically, I would discuss it for a week.
I'm sorry, Sergeant. Not typically. How many times did you discuss this?
For this particular safety alert, I was there for 4 days throughout that week. So I would discuss it each and every day I was there, so for 4 days.
Thank you. I have nothing else.
Cross-examination, Mr. McMahon.
Good morning, Sergeant Shield.
Good morning, sir.
Prior to talking about this officer safety alert this morning, did you have any specific recollection of this officer safety alert that I think you said was published December of 2012, so almost 6 years ago?
I'm not sure I can understand your question,
Sure,
sir.
that's my fault, sorry. You said this officer safety alert came out in December of 2012, correct?
Yes, sir.
We're now almost 6 years later.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any specific recollection of discussing this officer safety alert during roll call between December 4 and December 8, 2012?
And now, sir?
And today, yes.
No, sir.
You've been a Chicago police officer for 27 years, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Have you personally ever recovered a
knife gone or a revolver gone from the streets of Chicago?
I have not, sir.
Do you have personal knowledge of any other Chicago police officer recovering a knife gun from the streets of the city of Chicago at any time during your 27 years?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Yeah, Sergeant, this is an important alert, correct?
Yes, ma'am. All officer safety alerts are important. If it wasn't important, we wouldn't put it out as an alert.
Okay, and it was important to notify the police officers of the seriousness of this particular gun knife.
Yes, ma'am.
I have nothing else.
Mr. McGinn?
No, thank you.
Thank you, sorry, you can step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Could I have the attorneys over here for scheduling, please? Defense, call your next witness, please.
Oh, Jackie Alexander.
Watch your step, remain standing, face the clerk.
Raise your right hand. Do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this honorable court and jury shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Have a seat first. The seat's adjustable and the microphone's live, so if you pull your seat up to the microphone and speak into the microphone, everybody will be able to hear your testimony and it'll be greatly appreciated, so thank you. All right, proceed, Mr. Luke.
Good morning, ma'am. Well, would you tell us your name and spell your last name for the court report, please?
Jackie Alexander, Alexander.
And how are you employed, Ms. Alexander?
Currently work for the state of Illinois.
What do you do for the state of Illinois?
Leisure activity specialist.
All right. And where do you work?
I work at the Illinois Youth Center, Chicago.
And that's the juvenile detention center, is that correct?
Yes.
And how long have you worked there?
I've been there for 2.5 years now.
Were you there in April of 2014?
And I worked at a different facility in April 2014.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I worked at Cook County Detention Center in 2014.
And were you at the juvenile detention center on April 22nd, 2014?
Yes.
All right. And what were your duties and responsibilities on April 22nd, 2014?
I was the assistant team leader.
What does the assistant team leader do?
I was responsible, middle management, supervisor of about 32 staff, about 50 youth.
All right, and I want to call your attention to around 7:30 p.m. on April 22nd, 2014. You were working there, correct?
Correct.
All right, and did you receive a call to go to Pod 4?
Pod 4,
Pod 4?
Pod 4G.
Okay, 4G.
Mm-hmm.
You received a call to go there?
Yes.
All right, what was the call?
One of the staff members called me over due to an incident that occurred on the unit.
I'm sorry?
An incident occurred on the unit,
All
and
right.
the staff called me over.
So
Ma'am,
you
pull your
were-
chair up a little bit, speak into the mic, thank you.
So you responded to a call for an incident, correct?
Correct.
All right. And did you get there?
Yes.
And when you got there, Did somebody tell you what the incident was all about?
Yes.
All right, what'd they tell you?
Sustained.
It's not for the truth of the matter asserted, Judge, it's just what
Move
you
on,
knew.
sustained.
All right. And at that point in time, did you have occasion to see or meet with LaQuan McDonald?
Yes.
Where was LaQuan McDonald when you met with him?
During this incident, I can't recall.
All right. Is there anything that would refresh your recollection?
Yes.
And would that be a report you wrote on that incident?
Yes.
13?
12.
13.
I'm sorry, you're correct. Offense number 13.
I think it's defense 14, bro.
All right, we'll change it to 14 then.
May I approach the witness?
Go ahead.
Ms. Alexander, I'm going to show you what's been marked as defense 14 for identification. Ask you to look at that. Take your time and tell us if you recognize what that is.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection about why you were called there?
Yes.
All right. And why were you called there?
No, it's not as the conversation, but she can call, testify as to the event. Go ahead.
What was your question?
Why were you called there?
Staff called me over because LaQuan McDonald refused to enter his cell.
Okay. And when you got there, was he in or out of his cell?
He was out of his cell.
And were you part of getting him back in his cell?
Yes.
All right. And once he was back in his cell, what did he do when he got back in his cell?
He began to make verbal statements, threatening the other youth who were on the unit, telling them that he would beat them up if they stepped into their cell, if they followed any of the staff directives.
Did he also say something about the...
You can't lead. All right.
I'm not leading, Judge. I'm asking if he said anything about the rovers.
Sure, go ahead. That's proper.
Yes, he said that he would beat the rovers' ass.
And who were the rovers?
The rapid response team?
Okay. And were they on their way up, if you know?
Yes.
All right. And did he say anything about the bitch?
He mentioned fuck the TL, which is a team leader. Yeah.
Were you the team leader?
I was the assistant team leader.
All right. Did he say anything about a judge?
He did say that he wasn't really concerned about court. He'll put a slug in the judge's head.
Now, you stayed up there for about an hour, correct?
Correct.
And for an hour, was McDonald making all these threats?
I can't recall if he made the threats for an hour in its entirety.
But you were up there for an hour, right?
Correct, securing other youth.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. I don't have anything else, Judge.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Ms. Gleason.
Thank you. Bam, on pod G4, how many kids were on that pod?
I can't identify exactly how many, no more than 16.
Okay. So when you got it called up there that night, it wasn't just LaQuan that didn't want to go back in his cell, correct?
Correct.
And if a kid goes back into their cell in the youth home, do they have TVs in their cell?
No.
Do they have anything, activities they can do in their cell?
We try to provide activities, maybe tangible items like crossword puzzles, books, things like that.
But they have to do it by themselves, correct?
Correct.
So was Laquan McDonald in the cell by himself?
Yes.
And so when you got up there, you had a conversation with him, correct?
Yes.
And you convinced him to go into his cell?
Yes.
Correct? How long did it take you to convince him to go into his cell?
No more than 2 minutes.
Okay. And then when he's in the cell and he's making these statements, is he in the cell by himself?
Yes.
Has the door been shut?
Yes.
Is it locked?
Yes.
And so he's just yelling out the door these statements, correct?
Correct.
And so, just so the jury can understand, do the doors have a window on it?
Yes.
And how is it that an individual inside can talk to people outside?
Well, there's also punctures in the door, like holes for, you can hear conversation from the door. So he was just yelling through the cracks of your doors, the seams of your doors.
Okay. Is there a meal tray slot in these doors?
Yes.
Okay. So, when Laquan is yelling out the door, the other kids still are outside and they need to be secured, correct?
Correct.
So you're up there trying to get all the kids to go back into their cells, right?
Correct.
And did they normally have to go to bed at 7:30 at night?
Yes.
So that's not at all unusual, it was 7:30 at night?
No.
Is it unusual that they don't want to go to bed at 7:30?
No.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Yes. So, Mr. McDonald was trying to incite his peers to tune him up, right?
That's proper language when we write it up, yes.
And that's how you wrote it up, correct?
Correct.
So he's inside the cell trying to get these guys that are not in their cell to tune them up, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Defense, call your next witness, please.
Richard Delk, please.
Mr. what, sorry?
Richard Delk,
Delk.
sorry.
Mr. Delk. All right, watch your step, remain standing, just face the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this honorable court and jury shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a seat, sir. The chair is adjustable, so, and the microphone's live, so pull your chair up to the microphone. Speak into the microphone. Everybody will be able to hear your testimony, and it would be greatly appreciated. Proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, would you tell the jury your name and spell your last name for the court, please?
Richard Delk, D-E-L-K.
And how are you employed, Mr. Delk?
I work for Cook County Juvenile Detention Center as a rapid response specialist.
And how long have you been at the Juvenile Justice Center?
Just under 7 years, be 7 years in January.
And can you explain to the folks what the rapid response team is all about?
Well, we respond to emergencies in the building, mainly when we have situations with the residents, such as they refuse to go to their room, or if there's a fight or some type of disturbance, they'll call us for assistance to help straighten out the disturbance.
When you say us, how many people are on the team?
Total members on the team about 27 at this time.
And
we usually have about 8 per shift.
8 per shift?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to call your attention, April 18th, 2014. You were working at the Juvenile Justice Center then, correct?
Yes.
And were you on the rapid response team on that date?
Yes.
And were you working with 700 guys?
Yes.
Calling your attention about 9:30 in the evening. Were you called anywhere?
We were called up to, I believe it was Pod 4Z, for non-emergency assistance response to that unit.
All right. So you responded to 4G?
Yes.
And how many rapid response members responded?
I can't say exactly. It's probably about 6 of us went up there.
And when you got there, do you know Laquan McDonald, or did you know Laquan McDonald?
Yeah, I was familiar with him from being in the building. I didn't know him personally, but I was familiar with him.
But you knew him when you saw him, correct?
Yes.
All right. And that's from being in the building?
Yes.
And were you asked to do anything in relation to Laquan McDonald?
Well, when we got there, the staff informed us that we had some residents refusing to go to their room, and the residents were over in the TV area. So I wasn't asked to do anything specifically with Laquan McDonald, but he was one of the residents that were in the TV area that were refusing to go to their room. So just by chance, I happened to pick him and told him, "Come on, McDonald, let's go to your room."
Did he resist you going to his room?
Initially, he did not. He got up and started walking to his room, but before we arrived there, he resisted.
And was it just you and McDonald at the time?
Yeah, at that time when he initially resisted, it was just me and him.
When you say he initially resisted, what did he do?
Well, he was walking to his room, and then he turned around and started yelling "squad" to some of the other residents on the unit. And at that time, I grabbed him by the arm and told him, "Come on, let's go." And he resisted the restraining. I had to go into a restraint with him. And when he resisted, we went to the ground, and some other members came along and assisted me.
And when you say they assisted you in doing what?
Gaining control of him, get him handcuffed, and then helping him to his room.
So you and your partner, so to speak, got him into his room, right?
Yes.
What did you do with him when you got him into his room?
We laid him on his mattress on the bed in the prone position, which is face down on the mattress. We instructed him that we're going to remove the handcuffs and to remain still while we did so. We took off the cuffs, but when we removed the second cuff, he got up off the bed and still continued to resist us, so we had to put him back down on the bed.
When you say he started to resist you, what exactly did he do?
He tried to get up off of the bed. We instruct the residents in that situation to remain on the bed until we exit the room, and he didn't follow those instructions.
So what did you have to do?
We had to place him back on the bed again.
And it took more than one guy to do that?
That was about 3 of us.
Thank you, Officer. I have nothing further to
Cross-examination, Mr. Watt.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Dell, one of the other rovers that night was Tyler Sage, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so if he has already described an incident where Laquan McDonald, he aided you taking him to his room that night, that's the same incident, correct?
Yes.
No further questions.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you. You can step down. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is break for lunch. So, Jess, could you take our wonderful people back to the lunchroom?
All rise for the jury.
All right, court's in recess till 12:40 on that count.